The reasons you are doing Mythic Plus this season are player progression rewards and prestige rewards. For player progression, you will receive a weekly vault loot and end of dungeon loot. The highest end of dungeon loot is at a keystone 15, giving 210 loot. The highest weekly vault rewards come from at least doing 115, but scales up to doing 4 and 10 additional 14s. Doing additional content gives additional choice to your weekly vault, but you will still only receive one item. For prestige rewards, we have some extra goodies this season. For completing all 10s, you will receive Shadowlands Keystone Conqueror Season 1 and a title, The Sinful. For completing all 15s, you will receive the mount Sin-Touched Deathwalker. Fortunately, this is a big step up from rewards from previous tiers. What makes Mythic Plus dungeons different than normal dungeons? First, enemy health and damage scales up with each keystone level. The higher it is, the bigger and meaner mobs are. The more drastic changes is with affixes. Affixes are effects that are applied to the key which change the way that it behaves. New affixes for Shadowlands are Storming, which spawns near mobs and will spin in a circle slowly expanding as it travels. Coming into contact with one of these storms will deal damage, knock you into the air, and throw you back a few yards. This is a tank and melee DPS mechanic in most cases, forcing the players to actively drag mobs to avoid storms or dodge them in place. This is likely to be one of the best affixes for push weeks. Inspiring gives a number of select mobs within the dungeon inspiring presence, making all mobs within 15 yards immune to interrupts and CC, except for itself. This is a deceitfully difficult mechanic and oppressive in some dungeons. Much like how you wouldn't run bolstering Siege of Borealis without big brain strategies, you won't run Spires of Ascension on Inspiring. Unlike bolstering, it does not add health or damage to the mobs, so if you can play around it, or if the key is too low for it to matter, or the placements aren't too punishing, it will likely be free-ish. Spiteful will spawn a ghost which will fixate and chase a player for at most 11 seconds. These mobs have a passive which deals 8% of their health per second to them, and you will also be able to damage and CC them. This will be a very punishing mechanic for melee DPS. They will easily 2 to 3 shot you, and in higher keys 1 shot. With almost all dungeons having packs of different health pools, different kill priorities, or other factors which will make mobs die at different times, you will constantly be running in and out of combat, destroying your uptime. This will be an exciting Team T affix, as you will do massive pulls, burst them down, and use CC and other tools to manage the ad. Returning affixes are Sanguine, Grievous, Bolstering, Volcanic, Explosive, Bolstering, Necrotic, and Raging. Sanguine, Grievous, Bolstering, and Volcanic have all been changed. Sang despawns more quickly, Grievous isn't percent based, Volcanic now knocks you up and does less initial damage, but does falling damage. Bursting can also be dispelled or mass dispelled. Finally, the seasonal affix is Prideful. This is a single mini-boss that spawns every 20%. Every 2 seconds, this mini-boss pulses damage and increases the damage it does by 40%, which scales up to 400% bonus damage at 10 seconds. Every 7 seconds, the mini-boss will also debuff a player, which will after 4 seconds shoot 4 projectiles in different directions and stun all that are hit. Generally, the strategy is to save burst for this mob, and people who get the debuff to stay still while others move away. Once killed, you will receive a buff for a minute, which will give you 30% damage and healing and restore 5% mana each second. You'll kill 5 of these during the dungeon unless you intentionally spawn extra. Much like in BFA, there will be a schedule of affixes leading to push weeks and chill weeks. If we use data from BFA and data from the beta, we see a couple of trends. First, all tyrannical weeks will not be push weeks, nor will explosive weeks. This leaves us with unconditional push weeks being weeks 5 and 9, and conditional push weeks being 1, 7, and 11, being only good for some dungeons or with some group composition. I'm going to recommend 2 more videos from Growl or Yummy TV, which I link in the description below on how to gear for Shadowlands or how to find a Mythic Plus group. These are amazing introductions and will really help you. I'm also linking a number of other articles, which will give you info on gearing, affixes, and tons of other goodies. Thank you, and please consider subscribing, liking, and checking out my Twitch at twitch.tv/SideOfTheGreat. Links below.